feeling more confident in that. So in the future, we hope to not have to share this type of messaging, and definitely hope that we don't have any future cuts that affect our JBBS or SOR funding or other funding within the BHA as a whole. But we will definitely do our best to communicate that in as a timely manner as possible. So again, if you have any questions, we're sorting through a lot internally and with the federal government right now, just trying to understand what this next step in the process looks like. And I'm sure some of you are also receiving communications from SAMHSA and the federal government. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to the program managers, or you can reach out to me. We'll do our best to share with you what we know and confirm what we know at the moment. So, but yeah, I hope that that helps answer some of your questions. And I think there was something that came up in the chat. So as of, thank you for that, Brandon. Yes, so we are awaiting confirmation on that as we speak. So we're never going to just assume that what is said is actually going to happen until we get that confirmation in writing and ensure that the programs have, you know, those contracts are fully executed and we have funding confirmed. So as of right now, what we're hearing, that's a work in progress. But yeah, we are very hoping that that continues to be rolled out accordingly. And once we get that confirmation, we'll make sure to let everybody know. But thank you for that. And any other questions that you have, feel free to reach out. So thanks, everyone.
Okay. Alex, did you want to go ahead and start with your announcements?
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks so much. I just have a couple of things. First of all, over the last couple of months, we've been doing a lot of spot checking on the gain completion rate with each of the counties, and we've seen some significant improvements with those gain completion rates. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for all their work on this. I know when I jump on a meeting, not everybody's happy to see me. I'm happy to be there, but I just appreciate all the hard work that you're doing. A couple of reminders. First, with the quarterly survey just went out 2 weeks ago, a week ago. That's the Q2 survey. The response rate on those quarterly surveys isn't as high as we'd like it to be. It is a contract deliverable, right? It's a required thing to do. So I would rather not like hound people individually and be like, hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to do this. So just a general reminder to get that quarterly survey in by mid-February. Two things about the monthly contract monitoring tool I wanted to remind people of too. I'm going to share my screen so you can see this. Just keep in mind, gentle nudge, right? That when it says, please provide just one number, even if it's 0, that means just one number. People were really good at that for a long time. And now I'm seeing people like, oh, 7 of these and 3 of these and 5 of these. Like, add those together and just put that one number in there for me. Makes my job a lot easier. The other piece I wanted to remind people of is in the MAT section, there's these 2 questions. How many unduplicated individuals receive MAT treatment paid for by JBBS? And how many individuals receiving MAT treatment paid for by JBBS were released this month? And for a couple of counties, people are reporting higher numbers for the number released than the people served that month. And that, in theory, can't happen, right? So if you have 100 people that are receiving MAT treatment paid for by JBBS and 50 of them got released, then the answer for question 4 is 100 and the answer for question 5 is 50. There should never really be a situation where you have 100 people receiving treatment and 150 people receiving treatment were released in the same month. Those things just don't add up. Those releases should always be a smaller number. Unless you're released, you know, if you have 100 people and all 100 got out this month, then that's 100 for both. But we should never see a higher number for the number released than the number receiving services, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to kind of gently remind people of that differentiation. If you have questions, I know there's like one county in particular, we had a conversation about that. There are some exceptions. So if you think that you're having problems for a reason, let me know. I'm happy to talk through that, find a solution that works best. But this question about who's provided resources upon release is really important. This is one of the only measures we have to kind of determine that continuity of care for people that are receiving that treatment. So it's really important that we get both of those numbers accurately reported so that we know how many people are receiving treatment and how many people were released with a kind of provided resources before they were released. So those things are really, really important. Just want to make sure we get those straight. So yeah, and last thing, as always, open door policy. If anybody has any questions, concerns, problems with monthly contract monitoring tool, quarterly survey, whatever it is, just let me know. You all know that I'm always open to answer questions. Happy to jump on a quick call if it makes sense to do that. So I just want to continue to reiterate that that we're here to help in any way that we can. So I just really appreciate all the work that you're doing, and thanks for listening to us. And I will pass it back over to Kelly.
I will go ahead and take it. I apologize for my delay in that because I am still emailing folks. So I apologize that everybody is getting issues, having issues. I know, I'm sorry, I am emailing folks still about it. So I don't know why we're having issues with the link this morning. If you talk with a colleague, sounds like a lot of folks are having success calling in. I know that isn't ideal, but if you look at the invite list, we have a ton of phone numbers because everybody has been able to call in. Folks that are calling in, I have played with the permissions. So if you play with it and you're able to go ahead and log in, try it, see if it works. If it doesn't work, I apologize. We'll have to just stay on the phone. But I appreciate you all kind of bearing with me. Thank you, Alex. And thank you, Danielle. I did start recording the meeting while Danielle was in the middle of talking. So I apologize that we didn't preface that. It's been a morning. It's been a good morning. Well, it's going to be a great day. It's also my Friday, so it's going to be a great day. Couple more thanks, Alex. Couple more announcements for you all. Program manager outreach. I know that there has been a lot of, and I'm peeking at the quarterly meeting agenda. If you all want to access that, it is in the invite. If you see that, it's a Google Doc. So if you can access Google Docs, it's there. Program manager outreach. Program managers, I just want, for Kelly and I just want to thank everybody for responding to our outreach in a timely manner. I know that you all get some random emails from us. Hey, what are you doing with this? Hey, what are you doing with this? And I just appreciate everybody's timely response because sometimes we're getting questions on our end from our higher ups and we don't know. That's why we're reaching out to you all. I do want to say for SOR counties, so if you are from a county that has SOR funds, I'm talking to Weld, talking to Pueblo, talking to Larimer, Jeffco, a couple others. We will more than likely have a meeting coming up for the new assessment that's going to be replacing the GIPRA. So you will get program manager outreach from that as soon as I can verify a date. And that's going to be mandatory to attend. So the CU folks can go over the training once and they don't have to rehash it county by county. So appreciate you all just dealing with us with that program manager outreach. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Monthly meetings. As you all know, we try to meet relatively monthly-ish with all of our counties. Obviously, you all have things going. We all have things going. I tend to meet with my counties anywhere between every 4 weeks and every 8 weeks, depending on schedules and depending on what's going on in that particular county. So please bear with us on those monthly meetings. Occasionally, you'll see Alex pop up on those monthly meetings if he's talking to us about data and he says, hey, can I just be on those meetings? It's not anything bad. It's not anything that you guys need to worry about. Alex will just pop on for a couple of minutes, talk with you about things. And if we need to schedule a different meeting to go over any data concerns, we can do that. But just be aware if you have not had monthly-ish, I'm going to say monthly-ish meetings, we're going to try to have monthly-ish meetings with everybody. I'm usually pretty good about my counties. If we haven't had a meeting in a while or I haven't reached out to you, please feel free to reach out to me. Please also reach out to your specific program manager. I won't answer questions for Kelly's counties and Kelly won't answer questions for my counties. If you're wondering who is your assigned program manager, every county has an assigned program manager. And if you're wondering that, please email both Kelly and I, and one of us will respond. I think that's it. Kelly had to hop onto the phone, so she's going to be kind of just listening. Alex, did I miss any announcements? I think I got everything.
Nope, that's it.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, we're going to move on. We had a question come up from April Lund, a couple questions actually, from April Lund in Garfield County. April, are you around? I hope she was able to join.
I am here. Can you hear me okay?
Yay! Yes, we can. So April, I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor. For everybody's, I will preface this. This is a discussion. So April has a couple of questions for the group, and we would like some input from other jails, not from BHA. We would like input from some other jails on what you all are doing. So April, I'll give the floor to you.
Thank you, Becky. Hello, everyone, and go Broncos. I'm here with Ginny. This is Ginny Pearson with me, and she is our case manager. She is indispensable to our program, and I'm glad she's here with me. We have a question kind of arising about our MAT program, and I'm hoping that I can just do some crowdsourcing here to see what you guys are doing. And so my question is this: how do you, your facilities, your medical providers, or you just your facilities in general, screen for opioid use disorder to determine who needs MAT? That is my question number one. Do you have a policy or a process for that, or is it specifically self-reporting by the individual? And I'm going to do Jeopardy music if you don't answer.
Hi, this is Jackie Cutshaw, and I'm with Washington County. We actually service Morgan, Logan, Washington, and Yuma County. And when an inmate comes in, medical does a UA for them if they are indicating that they are on fentanyl, opioids, or on a Suboxone. And if they do test positive, medical will make an appointment with the physician to see them. And then when I screen them, I take a MAT application and then send the information to the physician. And it's all up to the physician on that program. And that's in Washington County. Morgan County and Logan County may do it a little bit differently, but not much different than that.
Hello, this is Nancy Windsor, and we provide service for Prowers County, Baca County, Crowley County, Herfinale County, and Otero County. So 5 counties. When they come, when somebody comes in, they fill out the form on what they have a history of. But our provider meets with everybody, new admissions, and does a MAT evaluation to see if they need it. Now, if they come in at night and they appear to be going on through with some type of withdrawal, they do call her and she has to figure out. We have a withdrawal protocol that we implement, but no, she decides, and then those MAT meds are ordered.
This is Eric. We do Park and Teller County, and our medical company that I also contract for had to kind of make their own policy regarding this. And so what we do is we continue anything. So if they come in and they have an active prescription for anything, we treat it like any other medication and continue it. If it's a new, if they're asking for a new prescription, we send out ROIs and just try to verify that they either have substance use disorder in their history or that they have ER visits for substance use disorder and or any positive drug screens in the past. We do not take their word for it ever, ever, ever. Because if we did, every single person in our facility would be on it. And some of them, we don't use urine tests to justify it because oftentimes when you have a 19-year-old person who's coming into the jail, they're sort of just getting into that lifestyle, and we don't necessarily find it appropriate to put them on a long-term medication when there's a chance for just true sobriety. But ultimately, if we can find anything in their medical history that can justify the medication use, we will use it. But we do not take inmates' word for it. And primarily it's because we are a federal holding facility at Teller, and almost every person we receive that stays long-term is coming from a federal facility. So if they've been screened 5 other times during their incarceration and not been provided the medication based on their, their own assessment of their need for it, then it kind of behooves us to become the person who puts them on it long term. And ultimately, federal inmates are most often, in my experience, I don't have the data on this, most often the people who tend to sell it for commissary or do other things. Or we've had instances in our facility where they're literally ingesting the medication, making sure they don't eat breakfast that morning so that they can then vomit it up, dry it on playing cards, and distribute it around the facility for ramen noodles and things like that, or whatever. And so we err on the side of caution. Ultimately, if we can find something that says, hey, this person's been to the ER 5, 6, 7 times, had drugs in their system each time, then our provider will give them the diagnosis of substance use disorder. If they come to us with a diagnosis, they're entitled to it, so says the state. But outside of that, we err on the side of caution and do not give the medication.
Very helpful. Thank you.
April, you have a couple comments in the chat as well. Brandon Williams is with Well, does cows at the time of intake. In Jeffco, our contracted mental health team screens everyone who is interested in MAT to determine if they are appropriate. To my knowledge, they do not use any kind of official assessment tool. And in Summit, our medical provider, SHP, screens everyone for MAT.
Excellent.
Cool. Is that helpful for you?
That's very helpful. I guess I was just trying to determine if there was sort of like an industry practice or a standard for what screening tactics are used for that. But it does seem like there's some individual scenarios, like in Teller being a federal holding facility, they might be operating under some different standards than we do as just being a local county jail. So that kind of shows me the differences. This is very helpful.
This is Brandon. I could send you our policy if that would help.
I'd love it. Thank you.
Brandon, if you can't find April's contact information, let me know and I can send it to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Looks like maybe she's putting it in the chat too. I see you typing. All right, awesome. Thank you, everybody. And April did have, thank you, April. April did have one more question, so I will let her go ahead and ask that one. I do want to say this is part of what we would like to have at these meetings. So if you have a question about standard practice, if you have a question just generally about what other folks are doing, bring it to us. We can pop it on the agenda for a meeting. Obviously, if it's time sensitive, we can get an email out. But if it's not time sensitive and you're kind of wondering about what's going on, April happened to ask me yesterday? I think it was 2 days ago, something like that. And I was like, hey, these are perfect for the quarterly meeting on Thursday. So please go ahead and let us know and we can pop these on the agenda. But April, I will let you ask your second question.
All right. Second question is a bit more sensitive because it kind of throws in your budgeting piece, but is your MAT program expanding beyond the numbers that you expected to see? And if so, how are you dealing with your caseload and making that meet your fiscal expectations for what you have budgeted for your MAT program versus, the client needs and things like that? Have you instituted any changes to your programs to say that you have like a max capacity or your screening has become more rigorous or anything along those lines?
Yes, one county, Otero, they just became very large, and we have instituted a limit. Once it reaches that limit for the counselors, the program, those kind of things. Now, we call it a wait list. But I know that our counselors are at full capacity, so we're going to try and address that. next week. But yes, we have a limit on that county only. Thank you.
This is Eric from Teller and Park. We add groups. So if our groups are full, we have an NPR like most jails do. We have a library. We have a certain number of seats in there. And if the pod in its entirety kind of ends up in the mental health groups, then we will divide it and do 2 groups. And then what we find is it kind of waxes and wanes. Sometimes they have behavioral issues, so they're removed from the groups at the behest of the jail staff. Sometimes we just have a dry spell where people just say, I'm already good. I don't need any mental health help. I'm in perfect psychological condition. And that actually happens pretty often at our facilities because the whole federal thing. But what we do is we just will expand the groups. But that being said, our facility houses a maximum of 100 people. Some of these other facilities house 1,000 people. So I understand they're not really able to. Once they're maxed out, they're maxed out. But for us, we can I do primarily the counseling for the groups, and we'll just add an additional day, talk it over with the jail staff and say, hey, we don't have enough seating. Can we divide this group in half? And that's worked out well for us. And it's been very temporary, where we need to do it for, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks, and then people move or move on to different facilities, and then it comes back down. And so and then sometimes, like right now, our numbers are pretty low. And so in terms of compensation and all that, I just kind of feel like sometimes you feel like I'm being overworked, and sometimes you feel like I'm being underworked. So I just go, I think we're breaking even in the end, one way or the other. So, but that's what's worked best for us.
That's great.
April and Nancy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in Prowers County, we have quite a few people that have completed our curriculum in the past, or maybe they were involved in the groups and then they decided not to participate. And so whenever they come back into the facility, either on a new case or whatever the case may be, they are not allowed to restart the program right away. Also, if they refuse to attend a meeting with one of the counselors, I believe it's 3 times, then they are removed from the program as well. So it puts a little bit of the accountability on the person participating. And then, if they've already defaulted before, and we have to choose between 2 inmates, we would pick the person that has not defaulted in the past. And so that kind of helps with those numbers as well.
Interesting. That's good.
April, I have Cassandra from Grand County that has offered to send her MAP policy as well, and Brandon's going to send his. I went ahead and Cassandra cannot get herself off mute with the tech issues. So I went ahead and CC'd you on an email to her, so you should be able to connect that way.
Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much. This has been incredibly illuminating. I appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you. I did have one other question come up. Cassandra, well, actually, first I will ask, I had a question come up via text. So if you see me texting, it's because I'm actually dealing with stuff that are coming up in the meeting as well. So I answered this question, but the question was, is it standard that jails have some sort of MAP policy for a MAP program or inclusion in it before they medicate? So I don't know if all of you know this, but probably do since you're all working in the jails. But yes, so a MAP policy is required by legislation. That happened prior to 1326. I don't remember the exact legislation, but I could probably find it, that you are required to have a MAP policy in place. There is no requirement about what that policy is supposed to be, but you are required to have a MAP policy in place. But also House Bill 22-1326, as you all know, requires all jails to be able to provide all 3 FDA MAT medications if requested by a client. So those are both in legislation. So just be aware of that. And if for some reason your county does not have a MAP policy, let us know immediately, and we can connect you with other counties and we can help you draft a MAP policy. April, you also have looks like Chief Stoffel in Mesa County. they're close, and he's inviting you to Mesa County to speak with their folks, and that would be awesome if you guys wanted to connect.
I would love to do that.
Awesome. What I will do here, Chief, is it all right if I pop your email address into the chat? All right. Cool. So I'm gonna pop the Chief's email address into the chat, and you all can connect as well since they are not too far from you. Cool. So with that, hey, Lisa. So with that, Cassandra did have a question for you all. And April, anything else? I wanted to make sure, actually, anything else on your end?
If I can insert one more quick question, and that is there a time limit? We are required to offer the MAT medications, which we do. Is there a time limit between the request from the inmate and when it has to be provided, or is that based on policy?
As far as I know, that is not in legislation. That is based on policy and availability within the jail.
All right, that's what I thought. Thank you.
But if anybody has any other feedback, please let me know. Cool. Okay. All right. So I'll get to Cassandra's question as well. She is wondering, and this actually piggybacks on some information that we have actually been discussing on our end. So good timing, Cassandra. Wanting to see if anyone has a brain injury program or has partnered with any agencies, and if that is established in any of your jails. Anybody doing more extensive TBI assessments than we have the couple of questions in the gain either at this point?
We have had an inmate in the past that had a pretty severe TBI previously and was having some behavioral issues due to the aggression that comes with TBIs regularly. This has been quite a few years back, but we did actually reach out to the state hospital and do a request to have a doctor do a reassessment on the medications and such that he was taking. And that did help with the behavioral issues, but we had to outsource because we didn't have those, I guess, services in our area. So we didn't technically have anything in-house, but we have had to reach out and ask for help in those instances because of the different behavioral issues and struggles that we were having with just trying to gain compliance from this individual. So they did some medication adjustments and then actually gave us some information on ways to communicate with the TBI individual. So it gave us some information for our deputies. So it wasn't necessarily a program, but it was a few tools that we were able to get. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, and Marcia, was that Brain Injury Alliance? Was that MindSource? What agency was that?
I believe it was through the state hospital, but I would actually have to pull this gentleman's file to get the exact information, and I can do that and send it out to you.
Yeah, would you mind if I connect you with Cassandra? Would that be all right?
That would be great.
Okay. So Cassandra, I know you can hear, but you can't talk. This is Marcia with Prowers County. So I'm going to just shoot a quick email, so I'm not taking up a ton of time, just to connect both of you, if that works. Awesome. Thank you, Marcia. I appreciate it. Sounds like Cassandra has been in contact with MindSource, and they have been doing more extensive. Cassandra, you might be one of the only facilities that's doing more extensive TBI assessments. That's something that we've been discussing on our end, how we can get that information and do those assessments. But I think it's a good timing for a question. And I think we can continue that discussion if that works. Anybody else have any feedback on that? Okay. All right. Well, we will go ahead and move on. Awesome. Awesome discussion. Awesome questions. I appreciate you, everybody. If you've got any more, let us know. We can always pop them on to another meeting as well. So with that, I appreciate all of our presenters hanging tight, especially bearing with me on the technical issues. But Christina, you still around?
I am trying to get
Awesome.
on camera.
Cool. Well, so we've got Christina O'Neill here with OCFMH. She's with the FST, folks. I'm going to let her, Christina, you should be able to share your slides if you're having issues, because technical issues, let me know. Or if you would like me to share, I can do that as well.
Let's see if it wants to work with me.
There we go.
Let me see if I can get it in a cleaner view. That's the wrong side. Let's see if I can get it in a cleaner view for you. Without my notes on the side. For some reason, my option decided to go away. So I guess maybe you just will see it with the notes on the side. Sorry.
Well, and let me see if I can get it on my end too.
There we go.
You got it.
That worked.
We are good. So I'll leave it open. I'll leave it open to you, and I will be in the background.
Okay. My speaker notes went away for some reason when I did that, so I'm going to fumble through it a little bit, but it's pretty easy. So, hi, my name is Christina O'Neill, and I am the director of the Forensic Support Team. Who or what is the Forensic Support Team? We are part of CDHS, and I work under the Office of Civil and Forensic Mental Health. So we are one of the Forensic Service Unit divisions, and our team specifically works with individuals involved in competency when they are incarcerated. Some of you might know me from when we had competency enhancement program. Our team worked really closely with the 11 metro jails that had competency enhancement funds, and we focused directly on working with the competency clients there. So outside the competency enhancement programming, forensic navigators are still out there and working directly with the clients. What we do is we offer support for the jail and the individuals as people are moving through the competency process. So we work really closely with the state inpatient hospitals at Fort Logan, at Pueblo, over at Peakview, and the RISE program. So all your inpatient restoration programs to help gather information for the admissions teams. And then we work with the jails to kind of keep people informed on what the processes are, where the person is involved in competency, and any of the other clinical information that we might know. It is important for everybody to know that the forensic navigators are not clinicians. We do not replace any of the jail treatment providers, and we can't order medication. We can't put on M1 holds. We're just there as part of the support process. Forensic support team. So we have an admission. Our mission is generally to strategically coordinate care and communicate the needs of clients to all stakeholders. And we do many, many tasks, but we concentrate mainly on three main goals. So one is working with the jails to identify any current care gaps. What that means is we're going to work at working with the providers to make sure that if you were unaware that they were involved in competency, we will reach out and be letting folks know that they are involved in competency. We're going to encourage if they have a past need on record of medication. We're going to encourage any of the JBBS or jail mental health teams that are working with our clients and have overlap with us. We are going to encourage them to see if they can get them access to prescriber appointments and medication, any other services that are possibly support in the jail. If there's reentry services and the person is low acuity, we're going to work with the jail to get them with reentry services. We're going to provide collaboration with that as well. Other pieces that we're doing is we meet with the clients in person, and we're always gathering lifetime information from any of the clinicians at the jail in order to help coordinate admissions into inpatient hospitals. So each one of our hospitals have different restrictions and abilities to admit different level clients. So some of that is based on acuity level, some of that is based on their actual charges. So our information will help each hospital be able to figure out which unit will be the best fit for our clients. And the other big thing we're doing is we are working with the courts. We never make a direct recommendation to the judge that somebody might be more appropriate for outpatient restoration. But what we would do is say, hey, judge, should you be interested in exploring an outpatient restoration plan? We can make referrals. These kind of agencies in the community might be there to help support stabilization and transfer into the community. Let us know if you're interested. Our team is made up of, how big are we right now? We are currently 29 people as of today, actually 30 with an intern currently. And We are made up mainly of navigators, case managers, and program coordinators. So what's everybody's roles? Our navigators are the folks that go directly into the jail and work directly with the clients. They also go to all the competency court hearings. So they're the ones that are the direct stakeholder front-facing positions. They're going to work with all of the stakeholders, and sort of the way I explain it is the navigators are with the clients. If you picture a giant old-fashioned wheel or a bike wheel, the client and the navigator are sitting in that hub in the middle, and all of the other programs they're touching, whether it be the jail, the courts, bridges liaison programs, community programs, they're kind of those spokes, and the competency process can be the big circle. So we're going to stand right in that hub with the client, and our navigators are going to help them navigate through all the system. So we're always keeping in mind sort of where that intersect is between the criminal justice system and the mental health systems. Our case managers are not forward facing as much. Our case managers, we only have 2 of them. They're in the background to support the navigators. They're there to be able to help with some of those service connections and some of those heavier lifts. Some of our clients are going to need more complex placements, such as nursing homes. It's going to involve somebody starting the paperwork for your Medicaid, working on your Social Security again, if they're going to be getting back out into the community, looking possibly for guardianship placements. So our case managers help do some of that heavy lift of the service connection in the background. And our program coordinators, we have 3 of them. They act as supervisors for each one of the navigator teams. Our program coordinators all come with licensure and clinical experience. So they can also help, seeing as that's not one of the requirements of the navigators, they can help do deep dives in cases, look back over old medical records and see if we're missing something in their care coordination. Is there a medication? A good example is we had a jail once ask client, we're trying to give them Zyprexa. They refuse to take it. We can't tell. They say that they're not taking it because they've had bad reactions in the past. We think they're just being resistant. We were able to go back, look in our records over the years that we've had the client and show that why they were inpatient. Yes, there was a bad reaction. We found that Risperdal has worked better, and we can pass that information on. So our program coordinators are trained to kind of do those deeper clinical dives to look for that information. Role of the forensic navigator, they're the ones I'm concentrating on the most, just because those are the ones that you'd most likely overlap with. So they're going to go into the jails. Usually most of our navigators are in the jail weekly or every other week, meeting face-to-face with the clients. They'll go in, see them cell side, have them pulled out in visit rooms, but they'll work directly with the client. Often they're going in and meeting with jail mental health teams as well. Multidisciplinary collaboration, that's going to be where usually we're meeting with the jail mental health clinicians, we're working with the courts, we're working with the attorney. So we can help translate, seeing as everybody's speaking different languages. We've got the clinical language, the hospital language, the community provider language, the judge language. Those all are different kinds of communication with different agendas. We help bring all that together and say, well, the judge could be interested in a outpatient transition plan if XYZ conditions were met. Then we can work with the jails to make sure if there's anything we need to be doing to add for stability. Then we can work with other community programs to make sure the XYZ is put in place. And we kind of then give all that information back to a judge in a court report. We will always be assessing a client to see whether they are decomping or stabilizing. And if they're stabilizing, we're going to be working towards that suggestion of a community plan. We're going to try to then to do the resource connection of connecting them with local providers. We have an extensive list and we have some specialized partnership we work with. If a person is decompensated, we're going to be working with the hospital admissions. As most people have heard, there is an extensive wait list of close to 400 people. So there is no magic wand that we can take people, immediately scoop them up and get them in the hospital, unfortunately. But what we can do is make sure that we are marking them in our internal system as a high acuity client. What that does is when the admissions teams are looking through for appropriate referrals based on what their needs of their units are, they can see that this person is in more need than maybe somebody who's in a low acuity mode that we're working on a community assessment. It allows them to optimize using those open beds to help reduce that wait list by focusing on the ones who are really going to respond to that inpatient restoration, meaning forced meds or certification in that clinical setting. And then the post-restoration coordination is when they land back in jail. We usually try to check in with them and see if the hospital started any discharge plans or if the jail has a reentry program. But we're going to usually start trying to move those wheels in order to get some sort of a plan going to make sure that they've got a better warm handoff and a plan after competency. So how does FST partner with the jail clinicians? We rely on any of the jail clinicians' insight. often your programs are the ones that are dealing with them, our clients, daily. You're going to be in a better place to tell us everything included to what's going on with your prescriber appointments, what their med compliance looks like, to how they're handling themselves in each one of their locations. Are they on any safety precautions we need to be aware of? Are they getting along in GPOP? Do they have to be on an ADSEG? So you're going to give us that information that help us really formulate those solid handoff plans. We're meeting the needs of the individual, making sure they're getting into the right inpatient setting. We can also help answer questions. We understand the court process is often a mystery. It's a mystery to us. We have to go into court minutes every day to see what judges are randomly ordering. So we can go in, look in the court database, bring that information back, and help make sure that we're connecting all of the folks so everybody knows where we are in the process with our clients. Things to know is we are not making any clinical decisions. We're just making coordinated care recommendations. We're always working with the courts. We're not in charge of the direction of the case. Sometimes we hear jails frustrated saying that they would like to see a certain outcome. We can pass on information we have, but we're not in charge of those outcomes. We have to operate at the behest of what the judge wants to do, what the attorney wants to do. And often everybody does have very differing agendas. We understand that. And we can't force anybody, just like you guys can't. We can't force anybody to work with us. It's dependent on the client's willingness to engage with our team. A handy thing for you guys to know at the jails is that when we are working on a case, we are part of the CDHS process. When a person is involved in competency, by nature, we are always assigned. It is not a separate court order. What that ends up meaning for you is we do not need specific ROIs to work with any of the jail providers. Under a waiver of privilege and being involved in the competency system and continuity of care, we are free to share information and you are free to share information back with us. Now, everybody always wants to be very judicious with information and keep it appropriate, right? So we shouldn't be asking things like, usually, unless they're going to need some sort of MAT setup when they get out, we're not going to ask too many questions. We're going to ask if they need MAT services, but we're not going to ask about all of their engagement. So we're always going to try to keep with just the information we actually need to problem solve in the case. But the good news is we don't always need ROIs just to be able to share basic levels of information, as when they are court ordered to competency, they are court ordered to the custody of CDHS. It becomes a shared custody arrangement between the jails and CDHS. That's why clients can move without PR bonds in and out of our hospitals, because we are shared custody. And so the outcome we're always looking for is just more coordinated transitions and better outcomes for our clients. There's a contact slide in there because I'm imagining I sent these to Becky. So if she ends up sharing them out, there's contact information. You can always reach out to our program assistant or me directly, and I can get you in touch with one of the program coordinators that supervises care in your jail. Sweet, short, and simple. That was it. I don't know, does anybody have any questions?
Just real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. Just real quick while folks are thinking, and I apologize for interrupting. I'm popping the this presentation onto the invite, so you can go ahead and access this presentation on the invite. So go ahead. I interrupted somebody. I apologize. Oh, come on. Don't be shy now. What questions do we have for Christina? I also, if you pop onto their website, you can also see the some forensic navigator information and how many there are. And I'm just saying that you can pop onto their website as well. Jackie, go for it.
There we go. Hi, Christina.
Hi.
I have a quick question on the post-release case management and aftercare wraparound services. So we just recently had one that was released from RISE program. His case was closed, so we had no reason to keep him there anymore. But he's been returned to our community with no wraparound services in place. So I was wondering about just communication. He came back to the jail looking for services, which, you know, I would be happy to help with, but because he's not in custody, there's not a lot I can do. So I was just wondering about that communication piece, like when they're being released, instead of, hey, he's on a bus on his way back. Is there something we could do prior to that? So we have a heads up so that maybe we can reach out and have a resource packet available for them, or, you know, at least navigate him to some sort of help. He just came back yesterday, which is my concern. He's homeless now. It's cold, and I don't know where to steer him to. He came by and got his personal property, and then, but that was before I came on duty, and so now he's just out on his own again. So I just didn't know if there was a way to navigate that, maybe, especially when we know that they've been in custody, you know, giving us a little bit of more of a heads up. I don't know what the solution is there.
Yeah, the discharge part is always our most difficult. In an ideal situation, judges are following the normal workflow, and a client will return from an inpatient setting. We'll have a little bit of a heads up. They'll land back in the jail, and the judges will have to rule on the competency of the case. And that gives us that ideal time to be able to jump back in as a navigator team, make suggestions for referrals, check in with the jail to see if there's any resources available, or if we think the client's going to need some significant community support, ask to have a Bridges liaison assigned. The Bridges liaisons need court order to get them assigned, but they can actually follow them in the community, whereas my team can't because we're only within the jail setting. So ideally, that's sort of the workflow we would want. It sounds like if your person was able to get back and then get out right away, it sounds like that might have been some sort of a dismissal or a bond situation. We work with the benches to encourage them not to do that. Like, we ask, if you're going to dismiss and they're coming right back from a hospital, could you give us a 10-day stay of dismissal maybe? So we've got a little bit of time to problem solve and see if we can get some resources under their belt before they walk out the door. At least we have access to some funding so we can get a backpack with some clothes, some shoes, proper coats, just something, even if we can't get them a service connection. So I agree, it's a less than ideal situation. Sounds like that whatever just happened was not the traditional flow if he was able to come back to the jail and then leave immediately. It sounds like that might have been a dismissal while he was in custody or found competent, and they immediately issued a bond. What I would suggest is, depending on the navigator you're working with in your districts, I didn't catch which jail you were from, is when clients switch to inpatient, if you already been working with them and you know there's going to be a concern about resources if they happen to get randomly released, reach out to that navigator as they go into inpatient. Express your concern, and hopefully we try to work closely with those inpatient teams to prompt them to start getting in referrals so this doesn't happen. So therefore, the client has something pending and waiting for him and some sort of plan. Again, sometimes reevals happen really fast. We're not aware that all of a sudden he's going to be found competent, or we don't know a judge is working on dismissal. We really try to close up those gaps, but it's just not a perfect coordination. If you're seeing scenarios like that happen often in your jail, talk to your navigator within the jail and see if you can maybe close up that service gap and see what their idea is for better communication when people go into inpatient. Which jail are you located in?
I'm in Delta, so we've been through quite a transition lately with the navigators and bridges. That is a part of it. But this is actually our third client that this has happened, that they've been, the case was dismissed while they were in RISE. There was no communication to me. And then the captain received notification just saying, hey, you know, this guy's on his way back. So he didn't even come back into our facility. He just stopped by to pick up his property. So he's just back in the community. But this is the third one within the last year that we've had this incident with. And it's, you know, obviously we want them to have wraparound services when they get here. But I think a lot of times too, that Bridges isn't really in the loop the entire way as well. So I'm trying to figure out how to close that gap up so that we can make sure that, you know, they're not coming back into jail for all the wrong reasons, you know, and then we start the process all over again. So
often it's those discharges directly from the inpatient programs that throw us off as well. We really advise judges not to do that. Give us a hang time, especially because a lot of times they'll do the dismissal or the bond order while they're in custody, which then does result in them being put on a bus or not figuring out a way to get back out. And we always encourage a judge to please stay the dismissal, do a writ to bring them back to the jail so we have a minute to kind of get their belongings back, make sure that they land back. We just had this happen last week with a client out of Pueblo, and they just sent them out onto the street in Pueblo. We had no warning it was going to happen. They had no transportation back to their district. So we try to work closely with the benches to explain that that's not doing any favors for our clients, that they do better with a writ back to their home jail and then a stay of at least 7 days, 10 days to give us a chance to get some sort of plan in place. What I'm going to do, Jackie, is I just wrote down your name and your district. Delta does have a lot of changes right now. You're about to get a brand new navigator. So the navigator that was in charge of the 7th recently resigned. It's been 2 months. We had a gap in services. We have coverage going on. Good news is Martin Luther King Day, day after, we're onboarding a new navigator in your area. So as she gets up and onboarding, I will put it onto the attention of the program coordinator in that area that it sounds like we need some better communication with the judges in those areas to make sure that there's some sort of a plan for these cases if they're happening more often. So we can really work as a system, because I believe your liaison also recently changed over in that area as well. So as we get new staff on, I will pass on right now to the program coordinator. There's a gap in services there, and make sure that they reach out to you and see what we can be doing to try to close that up.
Okay, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Christina, you have a question in the chat as well. It says, we often get questions from inmates about where they are on the wait list for restoration. Is there any way to determine their position on the list, or is that more fluid?
It is fluid. That is a really complex answer. There's good and bad news in there. Wait list used to be more linear because there was only one location to admit people into. So everybody had a number and they got admitted according to the number. Well, that didn't take account acuity. So that wasn't working really well. So we tried to take into account acuity. That kind of made the wait list get disheveled a lot. Some of the low acuity people would get bumped down lower, waiting a longer time. Not ideal either. Good news is we got more funding over the last couple of years to open up more restoration settings. So we now have Peakview, we now have Fort Logan, we now have SimHip, and we have your RISE programming. So they have many different options, but due to that, they all have specific admission criteria. So now that means a person may be like number 30 on the wait list, but maybe they're a felony 3, and a felony 3 can only go to SimHip. So being 30 on the wait list doesn't actually mean they're going to move quickly, as in being the 30th person on the wait list, because they only have one restoration site they can be admitted to. Seeing as Pueblo is the only one that can take the felony 3s and higher, it is going to be a slower moving wait list. You're going to have females. We only have certain sites that can take females. Peakview can take them, both hospitals can, but RISE can't. So that's going to limit where their options is and slow down them moving up the wait list. So it's always going to be fluid because each admissions team is grabbing records all the time based off of our navigator notes. Our navigator notes show live time, what the clients are looking like in the jail, and we put them in categories of low, moderate, and high acuity. So that way we know SimHip is supposed to be looking more at those high acuities. They're going to need the forced meds. They have better access to seclusion rooms. It's usually going to be those higher charges. So they're going to look for those clients more. Peakview can't take the super high acuity clients. They're looking more at the low and the moderate. So based off of everybody's criteria, they're always grabbing admission groups from our notes, reviewing them and figuring out where they fit in the current milieu. Like I just got a notice from Fort Logan today. Hey, heads up. All of our units are running so high acuity right now. We can't take any more high acuity. We're going to be pulling some lower acuity to even out our milieus because we don't have any seclusion rooms available. And so we were able to say, okay, if you're looking at some low acuities, can we push forward this person, and this person? We're really trying to get some movement on them. They'll tell us, okay, we'll give them a look. So it's always going to be a fluid process based on the fact that only certain sites can admit certain people. Your best idea for where they are on the wait list is going to be to talk to their attorneys. The attorneys and the judges do get letters on a pretty regular basis before their court date from our bed utilization manager. The bed utilization manager is going to then send out a letter saying they are this number on the wait list. However, they are only eligible for admission to this site and this site, which may slow down their admission. I will tell you, if they're only eligible for SIMHIP, that's our slowest admission process because that's our highest acuity, and the clients that go there tend to take longer to resolve and stabilize. If they're eligible for multiple sites like Rise and Peakview, they're probably going to move a little bit faster. You can always talk to the navigators, but we don't have all of the most up-to-date information. We can just tell you what we know working through admissions meetings, but sometimes they surprise us and they grab people we didn't even push forward. That's kind of my best answer I can give. Sorry, I don't have any hardcore details to say. Yes, if they're number 30, they will be moving in X amount of days. It just doesn't work that way.
Thanks, Christina. Any other questions? Okay. Awesome. Well, I think we're good. Please, if you have any questions come up, go ahead and reach out to Christina. You can also reach out to us and we can connect you with Christina. We also, like I said, I did also attach the presentation to the invite. Folks are requesting access for that, and I'm giving view access for that. That's totally fine. If for some reason your Google, it says set up a Google account, don't worry about it. Just shoot me an email. I have a PDF copy, and I can also shoot you a PDF copy. So either way, if you can access it just via Google, that's great. If you can access it just through me in a PDF, that is also great. Thank you, Christina, for your time. It's nice to see you too.
It is. Let me know if you need anything, please. Anybody can reach out at any time. I might not have the answer, but I usually know where to connect you. So please feel free to reach out whenever.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.
Great. Well, we will pass the information on. Robin, do we have you still? Robin and Bruce?
Yes, we're both online. Robin's doing accessing by phone. She wasn't able to get in with her computer.
Yeah, I apologize. We've had some access issues, some technical issues today. So I'm glad you were able to get in. And Robin, thanks for joining via phone. I will go ahead and let you both do your own introductions, but the floor is yours.
Thanks, Rebecca. Robin, are you online? Well, I'll get started and maybe Robin can unmute. I'll see if that's what the problem is over here. So my name is Bruce and I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And our invite goes kind of way back in I just heard a ding. I can't hear you, Robin. So keep trying, I guess. Anyway, so this goes back. We had a meeting with, I think it was probation back earlier in the fall, and finally got scheduled to join JBBS. So a little bit about what I'm doing. I'm currently serving as a corrections liaison for our CPC committee. CPC stands for Cooperation with Professional Community. It's one of the standing committees for Alcoholics Anonymous, going clear to our general service office in New York. That's chaired by someone back there. So our committee probably has 15 or 20 people on it in the area. Our area is Colorado. Area 10 is Colorado, California, Texas. Other states have many areas just based on population. So I kind of jump back and forth between our CPC committee and the corrections committee. And that's because I'd served on the corrections committee doing correspondence, setting correspondence up with volunteers and offenders, inmates, and all that. And I've been taking meetings into the Douglas County Jail since 2009. And used to go out to Lyman, take meeting out there. That ended pretty much right at the time of COVID. So yeah, I guess that's my experience, if any at all, is just from being in the jail. And I used to see or even see a little sign up thing for JBBS and really didn't. I thought it was just a Douglas County program, and the inmates kind of set me straight on that. And I understand a lot more now, but they're always positive and look forward to getting a plan set up for upon release. So that's really about as much as I know about JBBS. And our whole hope is always that a guy doesn't have to come back to the jail, and occasionally that happens. I've seen some guys come back, but and I've also had the opportunity to run into some guys that are sober and working the program Alcoholics Anonymous on the outside. And a couple of the inmates contacted me, and we're going to see them at a meeting next week in Castle Rock. So that's where I am from. And so I'm going to read the CPC purpose. Maybe that'll give Robin time. If not, I will try to cover her bridge the gap information. But we'll go from here. So the CPC committee, which stands for Cooperation with the Professional Community, is here to provide information about Alcoholics Anonymous to members of the community whose profession may bring them in contact with people who suffer from the disease of alcoholism. We inform professionals about what AA is, what it does, what it doesn't do, and how to find us. Our hope is that this information with the professional will feel confident in referring alcoholics to AA. Many alcoholics owe their lives to the non-alcoholic professional. I do myself. I got to Alcoholics Anonymous through treatment. So that was the professional that helped me. And in corrections, it can be attorneys, judges, law enforcement officials, jails. Our jail helps a lot of inmates, probation, parole, and of course, JBBS. So yeah, we just hope that the professional is knowledgeable a little bit about alcoholism, can determine that somebody's having problems with alcohol, and then hopefully kind of refer them to our program, asking for literature or meeting information or anything that you'd be seeking. Often non-alcoholics are able to help alcoholics long before they might have reached AA on their own. So you guys are kind of on the front lines and see the alcoholic long before they ever end up coming to us. You might have clients who have or may have a drinking problem. Perhaps they or their family members have come to you for guidance. And if you've heard of AA, you may have questions about how it works and want to find out more information about our fellowship before you refer anyone to us. We're happy to help you learn more about AA. AA has individuals and service communities who are available to provide professionals with specific information about our fellowship and how people can find us. In Colorado, again, Area 10, we have established CPC committees as resources for providing that kind of information. Upon request from professionals, CPC committees can provide pamphlets. AA cranks out pamphlets. And if you have an office and you want a literature rack, we can bring it and hopefully keep it supplied. And just request that. There's lots of pamphlets that we can provide for that. We can send out meeting schedules, although that's kind of been replaced really by the meeting guide app. And as soon as we're done with this presentation, I'll type some of that information into the chat box. So there's a meeting guide app. It's you can search Android or Apple, and the logo is a blue circle with a white metal folding chair. And that will find any meeting in North America, and Canada. We can take professionals to open AA meetings so they can see for themselves what it is, put professionals in contact with other members who would be available to accompany their client to their first meeting. And that's really what Robin's presentation is about, is bridging the gap from the facility to the first meeting. We also can provide an overview of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous to the professional or their staff. So we can come into your facility, talk to your staff, and that's more of a formal presentation, 3 to 5 of us, and it could take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, whatever would be available for you guys. There's no charge associated with any of these services. Our members participate in these activities because it helps them stay sober and welcome the opportunity to be of service. So again, I've been taking meetings into the jail. I've seen inmates excited about having that plan upon release. And, the last thing they need is to be picked up out in the parking lot because it's usually the same people, the same behavior, back to the same old playgrounds and all that. So Douglas County, our facilities, I think they are completely on board with what AA does and doesn't do, and they are always anxious to help us. We have tons of literature going in there, and they organize it for us, put it in the programs room, so the inmates always have books and other literature available. Really, we're just here hoping that if you guys have any questions and would like to contact us with any problems or any possible way that we can help, we're available for that. I'll type this in, but the helpful websites are aa.org. That's out of the General Service Office in New York. You can search any of the literature. It's on there. I think you get one free printing of any pamphlet you want. Our big book, which is the book Alcoholics Anonymous, that our fellowship was named after, is named after the book. It's available. You can read that online too. Then we have a Denver Central office. There's, I think, 5 of them in the state: Grand Junction, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, maybe a Spanish speaking one. I'm not sure. Anyway, so the Denver Central Office is daccaa.org. I'll put that in. Again, there's the meeting guide. And I'll just ask Robin if she's able to, if her phone is working. I don't see it on the screen here. So if not.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there she is. Great.
Gosh, I don't know how I got that to work. Bruce, you did a great job. Thank you so much. My name's Robin, and I'm a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I serve with our corrections committee. We have several different committees. Bruce just told you about CPC, cooperation with the professional community, and I'm in the corrections committee. There's a lot of different things that we do with corrections. One of those being taking meetings into the jails and excuse me, into the prisons. And I'm feeling a little out of sorts here because I was not able to log into the meeting. So I don't have a chat box. I can't see anybody. And so I feel like I'm talking into air. But as long as you guys can hear me, I'm good with that.
We can hear you, Robin, and I'm so sorry. We're having some access issues with about half of our participants. Half have been able to access, half have had to call in, so I apologize, but I appreciate you still sharing and still working with us.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I think it may have to do that it was sent to my Bridge the Gap email instead of my personal email, because my computer just recognizes my personal email.
Got it.
The other one's on a different server. So moving forward, if you were invited again, then I'll just have you send it to me personally.
Sure. And if you'd like to put your email address in the chat as well, or Bruce can, or I can, or if you have any literature or anything you'd like to share with the group, go ahead and send it to me and I can send it out to everybody as well.
I'd absolutely love to do that, but I'm on the computer right now, and so I can't access the other stuff while I have you on here. I am not the most technologically advanced and kind of technologically challenged. However, like I said, as long as you can hear me, Bruce does have my email and my phone number, and he will put that in the chat box. That's the best way to get a hold of me as far as through the Bridge the Gap email. And I'll go ahead and send you my personal email after we get off the meeting. But just to let you know a little bit about corrections, we do take the meetings into the facilities. Generally, we work with DOC. We have a lot of meetings in the jails as well, but Bridge the Gap is new to participating in the jails. One of the reasons for that is because the turnover is so quick in the jail. I've been able to, or we've been able to get a lot more volunteers throughout the state. So, so I can do a turnaround much quicker. You know, and one of the problems that we had with the jails and doing the bridge the gap with the jails was that we weren't able to take papers in and take papers out. A couple of the jails are allowing us to bring forms in and they just keep them and they hand them to the inmates and or to the offenders, and that way it gets to me. But just to tell you a little bit more, we also have correspondence. Anyone that's going to be incarcerated for more than 6 months is eligible for our correspondence program. And that way they're working directly one-on-one, writing back and forth about AA and about staying sober with the AA member that's on the inside. And, you know, we do try and make those meetings available as long as the facilities will let us in. You know, so that's one of the things. We've opened up recently to a couple of new prison facilities. I mean, they're not necessarily new facilities, but they're new to us, which is 4 Mile in Canyon City as well as Arrowhead. So, so you know, we're just trying to expand and get more people involved, because the time a person is released until the time they get to an AA meeting is like pretty vital. We've found that if you can get to a meeting right away upon release, you have about a 50% better chance of staying sober. And this is really a lifestyle. You know, we can't force anybody it on anyone, but we want it to be available. I was sentenced to AA by a judge, you know, and I was really quite upset about it because, you know, I wasn't arrested for drinking. I was arrested for drugs. And it was like, well, if you're going to take the drugs away from me, please don't take the drinking away from me. But, you know, but they did. They sentenced me to AA meetings, and I started going, and I started relating to what the people were saying. And so it made me want to live that lifestyle, to have a life free of alcohol and drugs. You know, I didn't know that it was really possible. But once I went to some meetings and saw people that were happy and laughing and things like that, and I just couldn't imagine that without having alcohol or drugs in my system. So that's why I like to give back, is because someone was there with their hand out for me, you know, when I needed it. And I think it's just, I wish they had a Bridge the Gap program when I had been in there. It was in 1997 that I was convicted of 6 different felonies. You know, so yeah, so I've been in AA for a while, and I can't imagine my life without it. It's just an amazing way to live. You know, just to tell you a little bit about our program, it is a spiritual program. It's not a religious program. A lot of people get that confused, and you know, we don't associate or affiliate with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. You know, we don't engage in controversy. We don't support or oppose any causes. There's no cost for Alcoholics Anonymous. We do pass a basket during the meetings because we are self-supporting through our own contributions. But we don't expect people who have just gotten out of jail or prison or something like that to be loaded with cash. So we don't expect them to be putting money into the basket. You know, it's always fine if they do, but there is no charge. You can always attend without any type of donation. What bridge, and we've got the literature program as well, and that is something that AA members in their group donate, and that goes to literature for people that are in the DOC or in the jail system. One of the things that I'm just so happy that you invited us about is, like I said, it's hard to get our forms into some of these jails and then to get them sent to me in time to be able to place them with a volunteer. And that's my job, is I coordinate with volunteer AA meetings throughout the state. Bruce and I both work for both serve under Area 10, which covers the whole state of Colorado. So we stay pretty busy, and that's the way I like it. But yeah, I do have volunteers all throughout the state, and I can always reach out if someone is being released to a different state, a different city, I can contact that state or that area, and I can do a bridge the gap. Say someone getting released and they're moving to Indiana, that's where they're going to be released to. I could find an AA contact for them there that will meet them at their first meeting. And the purpose of that is just to kind of, so that they're not walking in alone, not knowing anybody. It's kind of a scary thing, walking into a meeting of AA. So we try to take some of that stigma away by placing them with a person that that'll be able to show them where the AA meetings are, introduce them to some sober people within the meetings and within their area, and introduce them to people that may want to sponsor them. A sponsor is just someone who is kind of their mentor through going through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's kind of a way of life that we live, and it's based on 12 steps. I'm sure you guys have all heard of all this, but that is what brings us to a place where we're able to live within our own skin. One of the reasons I think that we start drinking is that we're so uncomfortable with ourselves and with our surroundings. We just don't necessarily feel like we fit in. And when we go through those steps, all of a sudden we're able to fit in without having to go to the solution of alcohol. Because alcohol is really not our problem. It's our thinking that's our problem. And once we get the alcohol out of our system and we start working these steps, it brings us to a place where we're comfortable with ourselves. And that's our goal, is just to introduce people. We can't force people to go to meetings. We wouldn't want to. It has to be our own call. And we just want to be there and be available for anyone who is looking for that. I can tell you that I've done a lot of bridges over the last year, and I've got probably about 15 more that I've got to go through in the next week in order to get them all set up with their volunteers. But it's something that is, like I said, is close to my heart, because people were there for me when I first came in. I don't know if there's anything that I left out. One of the things I want to say is that there are things that we don't do. We only have one qualifier for Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's that you believe that you have a problem with alcohol or that you have a desire to quit drinking. That's the only qualifier. So there's nothing that will disqualify you from being able to be there. The things that we don't do is we don't loan money. We're not a taxi. We don't provide housing. It's our program is strictly, getting people introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous, getting them comfortable with the meeting, and introducing them to someone who that they feel comfortable that they can share with um, and reach a better life. One that I can tell you that since I've been in Alcoholics Anonymous, I have not gotten so much as a speeding ticket. Which is kind of funny because that's the one rule that I kind of think is more of a suggestion. But you know, I do try to follow the laws in all other things, and for some reason it seems to work. And we would love to be able to offer this to your clients. It would probably be easier for you to hand them the forms and to get them back to me so that I can process them than us taking them in ourselves. You know, because there is kind of a stigma with allowing materials to be brought in from the outside. So generally, when we have literature that goes to the jails or to the prisons, we have it sent directly from the distribution center. It's not something that we walk in with. So I think that's, I think I've covered pretty much everything. Hopefully you guys have a few questions and hopefully I have a few answers for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Robin and Bruce. And any questions? Well, if you think of any questions, Bruce popped in email addresses and phone numbers for both of them. Please feel free to reach out. We can also, as always, we can also help connect you with both. And Robin and Bruce, like I said, if you have any information, any pamphlets, anything that you would like to get out to folks, send it to me via email and I can just forward it to the entire group. That'll be the folks that are on this call as well as folks that weren't able to make this call. Everybody will get that.
Absolutely. I'll send you some of the forms. And I believe the probation department will be meeting with them next month. They've altered our form in something that they feel is a little more fitting than the one that we have available. So I'll send you a copy of both of those forms and I will respond to either one. But getting the form to the people and you know, this program has been around for 90 years. We're not the only thing that is available to help people stop drinking, but we are by far the most successful. Yeah, I'll get that off to you, Becca, and we'll just see where we can go from there and see if I may be able to help your clients in some way so that we reduce the recidivism.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for your time today. Thank you for also bearing with us on the technical issues. All right.
Well, at least I don't have to look at myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I get to do this entire time. I'm the only one, so it's a little weird. Thanks, Robin. Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate you both.
Thank you.
All right, Haley, you have hung on. I just looked you up and you were here a minute ago.
I'm here still.
Thank you for holding on. Thank you for hanging on. I'm glad at least you were able to access and sign on to the meeting. You're one of about half of our participants, so I'm glad it worked out.
I'm making it work.
Well, I will let you, if it's all right, introduce yourself and your program, and we've got about 30 minutes remaining.
Okay. I will be quick. I am Haley. I own a laser tattoo removal business in Inglewood. I'm really new to this. I have no idea what a program may look like here, but I do think I can offer some services that could be helpful for clients and individuals that you guys have. I created a PowerPoint to share. I don't do this often, so bear with me.
You should be able to share it. Everybody.
Yeah, down on the bottom, there's like a little computer with an arrow in it. If you click that button, it should allow you to share.
Thank you. Does this look right?
Yep, we can see that.
Looks good.
Okay. So the name of my business is Inked Out. We operate in Inglewood. I have been lasering since June of 2018, and right now I'm the only laser technician there. We've remained a pretty small family-run business throughout these last few years. We utilize 3 different Q-switched FDA-approved lasers to target all types and colors of tattoo ink. We do have a new laser that is in the works as well. They're called Pico lasers, and they kind of help limit the amount of sessions you have to do per tattoo to fully remove. To break down the process of tattoo removal, I want to just briefly go over kind of what that looks like. We basically use laser light to break apart tattoo ink, and then our body flushes it away. It is the fastest and least invasive tattoo removal option that there is. It does require multiple sessions though, and we space those sessions out 8 weeks apart. So this would require somebody to come back a few times to be able to completely get rid of tattoos that they're trying to kind of leave in the past. This also does require some after treatment care. It's important that they have access to aloe vera or some sort of ointment. This is really similar to a burn. It feels a lot like bacon grease, and it can be pretty painful. Sometimes you swell afterwards, sometimes you blister. It can be pretty tender to the touch for a few days afterwards. I also wanted to provide a few examples of what this process can look like after 1 to 10 removal sessions, and also how much it can vary based on what a tattoo starts out as. If there's any questions about any of this, I'm happy to answer it. Okay, and then why I believe this would work for people who are integrating back into society is to help with people moving on from past lives. I think if there's an option to remove any gang affiliation tattoos, or tattoos on the face, the neck, the hands, it gives them more of an opportunity to potentially get a new job, or just kind of leave that life behind. I did include a graph that was information gathered from the sources below that basically breaks down what percentage of people believe laser tattoo removal helped them reintegrate into their communities. What partnering together could look like. So my laser is not a mobile piece of equipment, but it is a program. If this continues to grow, there are options for mobile pieces of equipment. So my reach only goes to certain counties at this point. We could start with a pilot program where we kind of test these things out on a number of people and see if it really helps or if there's better processes to it. I really am open to any ideas, though. I know this can help and be helpful for people coming out and reintegrating into society. I don't know what that looks like, though. I do appreciate your time and consideration for your future programs. Laser tattoo removal has been a passion of mine for the past 10 years, and it would be nice to be able to kind of help out my community in ways that help people kind of leave jail behind. But yeah, if there's any questions, I've left my contact information below there. I didn't email my slideshow, but I'm happy to send that over to you, Rebecca.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I have for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot it over. I can attach it to the invite, and it'll be another one that if folks can't access that, I can save a PDF and send a PDF, as well. I was also going to pop it in the chat, but I'll just say it out loud. It's a possibility that JBBS would be able to help pay for transportation to Haley's office as well as for treatment depending on the client. So that's something that we could staff with you and your jail, depending on the client, what their needs are. After looking at, Haley might be able to give kind of a time frame as well. We can go from there. So we're absolutely open to being able to help these folks. And I think it's fantastic. So yeah, Haley, send me your information. I can get it out to the group, and we'd love to pop some clients over to you.
Thank you again for all of your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Any questions or anything? Yep, Alex.
I was just gonna say, Haley, if you do get that kind of mobile setup going, let us know, and we can circulate that around. You know, I know right now you're just kind of situated in one place, but you know, if that does eventually happen, let us know, and we'll let everybody else know too.
Okay, thank you.
And Haley in the chat, do you know the approximate cost for folks?
Yeah, so there is an option that if somebody's coming from a specific county, I'm happy to kind of come up with a pamphlet or whatever can be displayed to these people. I would heavily discount most prices. I would even include maybe the first session free just to get them in the door and kind of get to see that option of change and commit to it. Usually after that, it ranges by the size of tattoo. It can be as little as like $25 if we're talking fingers, things like that. Full back pieces, things like that range up higher. But it really is kind of a case by case basis.
Are you able to give quotes at all for folks if they make their way into the office?
Yeah, I can even do it remotely if it's easier. I often have somebody just send me pictures of what they want removed, and if there's any mention of whatever program this could become, I can honor different pricing for that.
Awesome. So I think that's fantastic. If you're able to get with your client, take pictures, send them to Haley, I think that would be awesome. And then again, we can help pay for transportation for the client to get there. We can help pay for it. I don't want to promise everybody, but I think on a case by case basis, we would be able to do that. Awesome. Yeah, I agree, Nancy. Cool. Well, Haley, send me the PowerPoint. I also just got some information, everybody, from Bruce for AA. I'm not going to continue making changes to the invite or anything until I get everything, because I know it resends everything out. The recording will also generally pop onto the invite when that's done. So yeah, Haley, shoot me your information and we'll pop it on there. And let's also stay in contact, because I think this could be really cool too across the state.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, with that said, I think we're good. Alex, thoughts?
No, just wanted to open up one more time for any last minute questions, concerns, anything else that the group wants to voice.
Cool. Well, like I always say, I'm gonna give you some time back, and it's gonna be enough time that everybody's just gonna go change the world. So everybody, we appreciate you. Also, again, thank you so much for dealing with our technical issues. I'm going to look into it and what the technical issues might be for our next meeting. So I'm going to play with that, see what might be going on. But appreciate it. This meeting, like I said, is recorded. It will pop itself onto the invite when it's done uploading the recording. I don't normally send these out, but I will this time because of the access issues. So you will all get a couple emails from me, more than likely, with the information from today and the PDFs with the recording as well. I'll see what I can send out to everybody, or at least a link to the recording, because sometimes the recording is too big. But please reach out if you need anything. Thank you, and go change the world.
Thanks, everybody. Go Broncos.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You probably stopped recording, Becky.
Oh yeah, that'd be good, huh?